And you're watching the communicators on C-SPAN. We are on location at the CES International 2013 show in Las Vegas from the Convention Center. And here's some more of our coverage. Here in Las Vegas at CES International, Samsung has a rather large display, and the communicators is joined by David Steele, Executive Vice President of Strategy for Samsung. Mr. Steele, if you would, just begin by giving us a snapshot of the Samsung Corporation.
So Samsung is now the largest technology company in the world by sales. We cover all the way from components like semiconductor chips and flat panel displays, all the way through to finished goods like home appliances, televisions, and smartphones. So you'll see a whole range of products here at the booth, where we're showing PCs, we're showing audio systems, home appliances, televisions, the whole range of electronics products.
What is your position at Samsung as Executive Vice President? For what are you responsible?
So I'm responsible for our corporate strategy in North America, covering the United States and Canada, and then looking at all of our corporate strategies across that. So overseeing all the different product areas and how we put together strategies there, that's my responsibility.
You spent quite a few years in Korea, correct?
That's right. I was in Korea for just over 10 years.
And why are you now in the States?
Probably they got tired of me, said we need a breather. But it's very interesting when you've been in the headquarters for a few years. You've seen what it is to have global responsibility, but looking at narrower product lines. But now in coming to the US, I can look at all the different product lines in one geographic market. So it's a different way of looking at the business, much more in the trenches of day-to-day business in a market rather than in the headquarters of the corporation.
For Samsung products, is the US and Canada, North America, a growth market?
It still is. So, I mean, traditionally we've thought about developed markets and developing markets, and the developed markets as being seen as somewhat mature. But if you look at the last few years of our progress in the US market, we've seen tremendous growth. Some of that is coming from new categories like the rise of the digital television or the growth of the phone business. Some of it is as we pick up our market share. We're the fastest growing brand in home appliances, for example, an area where the Samsung brand hasn't been as well known, but now bringing the same mix of innovation that we brought to televisions and phones, bringing new designs. Now we can also grow our business in home appliances.
What's the employment level in the U.S. for Samsung?
We employ several thousand people in terms of sales and marketing, also in product design, as well as R&D. We have a very large production center in Austin, Texas, which is a semiconductor fab, representing multi-billion-dollar investment in the semiconductor industry there for production. So we have a fairly big footprint from coast to coast.
David Steele, here at CES, one of your displays is TVs, smart TVs, Ultra HD TVs. What else do you have on display?
So TV is the big highlight, as you mentioned. Lots of new technology there. We're also devoting a bigger area than usual to our home appliances, recognizing that home appliances now are also becoming smarter. So just like we've seen smartphones, we've seen smart TVs, tablets, even cameras, now home appliances are getting smarter, which means LCD screen built in your refrigerator so that you can have simple apps. Instead of the fridge magnets with everyone's schedule, you can have just a calendar on the LCD screen on the fridge. It means things like a smart washing machine, so that you'll get a text message when the cycle finishes, so that you don't leave those wet clothes in the washing machine anymore. And people have traditionally sort of laughed a bit at smart appliances, sort of a Jetsons future, but actually when they learn about the specific benefits, that sort of text message when the cycle finishes, these very practical benefits of a smart appliance, then they really understand it. And going forward, it'll be also more about the smart grid, which is how can you get energy saving from these appliances. We're already a partner of Energy Star in terms of our energy saving and energy efficiency, but the smart grid will be the next step in that. So home appliances, very interesting new area.
How has Samsung changed its energy footprint when it comes to TVs? You do have a display out in the front of your booth here at CES talking about some of the energy costs and lower energy usage.
So that's been a big area of emphasis for us as we see this growth of electronics in the home. How do we think in a smart way about energy efficiency? We've worked very closely with the Energy Star program because that's so broadly recognized as a sign of energy efficiency, and tried to get that across all of our high-end TVs, really get most of our lineup being Energy Star certified. So that's been an important area. We want consumers to think about that also when they buy products, to think about the energy consumption, the footprint that they generate from that. But obviously, as you sell more and more appliances, energy efficiency is important, and home appliances is another category where we can see that the benefit of energy efficiency.
David Steele of Samsung, when you think about the future of TV, what does that phrase mean to you?
Well, the future of TV means what it's meant, at least for the last few years, certainly, which is getting bigger. It used to be that we would say 40-inch was about as big as TVs would go in the home. Now we're seeing the fastest growing part of the TV market is 60-inch and above. We're showing here at the booth 85-inch and 110-inch ultra-high definition TVs. So we see still the continued growth of large screen televisions in the home. I think consumers have warmed to the scale of big screen TVs and the great entertainment. We also see the growth of smart TVs. TVs used to be separate, unconnected devices, just with an antenna or a cable connection. Now increasingly they're internet connected. More than 60% of our large screen TVs are being connected to the internet. So that means the TV becomes a connected part of the home, access to all of your video services through apps, access to content on other devices in the home, so you can link your TV to your smartphone or to your tablet, as well as even social media. So you're sitting back on your couch watching a TV program, you don't want to miss your social media alerts, so you can get those on your TV. So certainly in the next few years, we'll see big growth in smart televisions.
A lot of talk, though, about tablets and wireless and TV everywhere. How does Samsung fit into that picture?
So as you might expect from Samsung, given the breadth of products that we have, smartphones, tablets, televisions, computers, appliances, one of the areas that we're investing a lot is this multi-screen connectivity. Because we already see many consumers multitasking. You're on your couch watching TV, but you're also texting on your phone, or you're also looking at the internet on your tablet, something like that. So how do we link those devices to each other? How do we also link them to the cloud or link them to the internet? One very good example was our Galaxy camera. So we launched the Samsung Galaxy camera last year. A camera now built in with 3G and 4G connectivity. So you can take photos where you go and instantly through the wireless network upload them to a website or to a social media service. So bringing wireless connectivity to a camera. So linking products like that, linking them to the internet and to each other, that's a big opportunity for us, and we think big value for the consumer.
Now, does Samsung work directly with some of the cable providers to make TV everywhere available?
We have very close relationships with cable providers, with wireless carriers, because obviously they're critical in delivering the content and services to our devices. We know what we're good at, which is making really beautiful design products that have the latest technology in, and then we need these great partners who can facilitate the content and the services being delivered to those. So yeah, we work very closely with those industries.
The Communicators is at CES in Las Vegas, and we're talking with David Steele, Executive Vice President of Samsung. Mr. Steele, I was a little surprised to see here at the booth a large display of what I would consider traditional cameras. Where's the growth in that? What's the new technology in those cameras?
So camera is a relatively new category for Samsung, but we saw the same interest in that we saw in a lot of our other categories, which is new technology coming to play, connectivity to the internet, to devices. So the last few years we've been pushing much more into the camera space, coming up with innovation. And new camera here, the Samsung NX300. It's a very high performance camera, but it has a 3D lens. so that it's the first time to have a single lens on a consumer camera to record 3D. So just as we're all getting used to 3D in movie theaters, many of us are buying 3D for our TVs at home. Now you want to record content in 3D. So through this camera you can do that. We also see great growth in the connected camera category. Most of our camera lineup now is Wi-Fi enabled. So you capture pictures, you want to get them very easily off your camera, not pulling out a card and plug it in your PC anymore, just simple one-touch Wi-Fi connectivity. So whenever we see categories that we can bring that sort of innovation, that technology, and also great consumer design, then that's a technology, that's a category that we'll look at.
David Steele, is part of your job when it comes to some of your products worrying about or thinking about spectrum policy?
Spectrum policy is an area of importance to us. So we obviously need lots of bandwidth for the products that we hear. We tend not to have specific opinions on how to get there, but we look much more just to make it possible to facilitate all these different devices and content. And if you look at the growth that we've seen in the last few years in the US market, in the smartphone industry and consumers buying smart TVs, so much of that has come because of the great gains in broadband to the home, in wireless capabilities. So you can really see there the benefits of having access to bandwidth, whether it's home or whether it's mobile, making it possible for consumers to use these great devices and then get access to a whole range of content and services that they want.
Is it important for a manufacturer such as Samsung to build in efficiencies for spectrum in its products? Is that possible?
You know, still for spectrum, we largely partner with wireless carriers or with cable providers and others. So those policy areas are more relevant to their business in terms of how they're going to deliver the content. We really occupy that last foot to the consumer. And our goal there is to have a great design product, latest technology, and more making it easy to use. I think now consumers can see just how much is being packed into devices, whether it's smartphones, tablets, or smart televisions, and how do we make those easier to use, which means more intuitive user interface, which means more things based on voice control or gesture, taking the sort of ease of use that consumers have found on touch screens and applying that to other devices. So you'll see a lot of innovation in smart TV here at CES is around the user experience or the user interface, making it easy to use. That's more our area of expertise and focus than actually the spectrum allocation of how you bring the content and services.
What's the status of the great Samsung-Apple patent debate? Is it concluded?
So litigation is still going on, so unfortunately I can't say anything about that, but you know, as a company we're still committed, as you can see behind me, to bringing lots of innovation to the marketplace. We employ 50,000 people in our R&D facilities worldwide. We're the second highest recipient of US patents. So we're going to keep innovating, we'll keep investing in design, and the litigation is really a separate issue. So we'll leave that for others to comment on, but you know, my focus here is how do we keep delivering on innovation in our products.
In researching Samsung, I was a little bit surprised to learn that Samsung is the biggest telephone or wireless company in the world in a sense. I mean, as far as manufacturing, correct?
Right. Yeah, and that's been an area where we saw early on the potential growth in the phone business. So recognizing that eventually it would be one phone per person, and in many developing parts of the world, the phone would actually be the first platform to deliver the internet. You know, here in the US, we're used to internet at home, but in many parts of the developing world, their first experience of the internet is through their phones. So we've been investing a lot there. We've stressed design, which has been a big theme for Samsung. And the phone is now such an intensely personal object. We've done surveys in the past. If you leave your home without your phone or your wallet, which are you more likely to go back for? And the answer by far is your phone. Your wallet, you can borrow money from colleagues or friends. but if you don't have your phone, you're out of touch. You can't get information, you can't connect to friends and family. So that's why the phone business has been so successful for us, and we can bring all of our strengths in design, in technology, in connectivity to the phone market, and that's been a big opportunity for us.
What's the future development for Samsung and Android, and what is Tizen?
So really I can't comment on our platform strategy other than to say Samsung has always been a brand that wants to deliver what consumers are interested in. So we believe in consumer choice. We've had multiple platforms in the past. So that's really where we're focused, is offering choice for consumers. If there's demand in the marketplace for a product, we want to offer that. We want to stay open-minded about different technologies, different standards, different protocols, and just keep an open mind and deliver what hopefully you see in the booth consumers want to buy.
How's the Galaxy tablet phone doing?
It's doing very well, the whole Galaxy series, and that's really where we've tapped into this growth in different sizes and form factors. So obviously the phone is known very well, and we've had Galaxy 1, 2, and 3 series. And then last year at this show, Samsung brought out the Samsung Galaxy Note, which is a larger device with a 5-inch display. At that time people said, well, is this really too big or whatever, but caught on very well. We've sold a lot of those because people understand that there's room for different sizes in the marketplace, that some consumers are looking for larger sizes. Tablets, we sell different sizes of tablets. So again, offering choice in the marketplace. If someone's looking for a different size device, we want to offer that.
David Steele, recently in TechCrunch, there was an article referring to Samsung as the fifth horseman. I'm sure you've seen this. It said that Apple, Amazon, Google, and Facebook are the big four, but in this author's view, Samsung should be included in that list as a driver of the future.
Well, certainly it's nice to have recognition of innovation in it, but I don't know about those groupings. I mean, our big focus is to stay humble and to stay hungry on innovation, to keep driving new products, to leverage Samsung's big investment in R&D, to leverage all of our resources in design, really keep pushing things in terms of bringing new technology to the market, finding areas like the camera market where Samsung can bring innovation, finding areas like home appliances where Samsung can bring innovation. So, we'll keep innovating like that, we'll keep investing in new technology, and we'll leave others to make the comparisons and write the groupings and future predictions.
How closely do you work with Google or Facebook or Microsoft? Is there a lot of cooperation among companies that have shared goals in a sense?
We partner with a lot of companies. As you would expect, for Samsung as the largest tech company by sales in the world, we partner with lots of others. We know what we're very good at, which is making devices, and that's where we want to stay focused. And we need to partner with lots of different companies, whether it's in the content industry, whether it's wireless carriers, whether it's cable companies, those who deliver content, those who have platforms. So we want to be a company that's very open to partnership, that's good at what we're focused on, but has a very open mind about partnering with other companies in general.
David Steele, is the U.S. tech market unique?
There's commonality across a lot of countries around the world, but we've seen tremendous growth in the U.S. in the last few years. I mean, it used to be, when I was working for Samsung in Korea for 10 years, that was the poster child that we would use, and I would go around the world and tell people about the great broadband penetration rates in Korea, the great wireless speed. And I think one of the most exciting things we've seen in the last few years, and it's a tribute to the companies involved and the policymakers involved, we've seen such tremendous growth in the US market in terms of wireless, in terms of broadband to the home. So now the US is really a market that's setting the pace. We've obviously seen a lot of new content models coming out of the US market, and now we see many of our new technologies being launched first in the US because there is the infrastructure in place. There are lots of very savvy consumers who are looking for new technology for their homes and for mobile applications. So the US is a really important market for us. Samsung's making big investments here. It's one we see early adoption for new technologies. So there's a lot of commonality across markets in the world now that are looking for new technology, but the US is certainly a big focus for us.
Often, legislators, reports, government officials compare US broadband penetration to South Korea's and say we need to achieve that. What have you found in your time in the US? Are we way behind?
So there was a time, I was in Korea for 10 years until 5 years ago, and back at that time the US was behind. And we always used to compare Korean broadband penetration rates. The apartment I lived in had fiber optic to my apartment. Korea was a market where we saw early adoption of stock trading through the internet, of travel reservations through the internet. So it was really facilitated by that broadband coverage. But very steadily over the last few years, the US has been picking up. And now we're at the point where in terms of broadband to the home as well as wireless technology, the bandwidth is there, the speeds are there. You look at how 4G has been rolled out in the US, and that facilitates so many of these applications and content and services that consumers are looking for. So the US has very quickly come up, and I think it is a tribute to everyone who's been involved in the industry and in policy making the last few years that we've caught up like that.
As a point person here in the US on Samsung's executive team, how much time do you spend talking about, thinking about, worrying about what Congress may be doing, what the FCC may be doing?
So policy is of increasing interest to us and importance for us because just of the range of our product categories. When you go all the way from semiconductor chips to phones to televisions to home appliances, obviously there are a lot of policy issues that are of importance there, and we're trying to monitor those closely and understand the implications for our business. But I think it's always important for a company to focus on what you do best. And what we do best is making great products, delivering great services through those. So coming up with new designs, new user interfaces, that's it. And then studying what the policy implications are and trying to find how we can adjust to those and keep our business sustained based on those. But policy is very important because I think that's arguably what's propelled the US over the last few years to where it is now as a very advanced technology market in terms of bandwidth and broadband and wireless.
One of the themes of CES International this year are two of the themes, the cloud and apps. Where is Samsung when it comes to those two?
So the cloud and apps are very important to us because so many of our devices are connected. In fact, almost all of our devices now are becoming connected either to each other or to the internet, to the cloud. Apps are a great way of delivering content and services. We've seen on the smartphone platform and on tablets how easy they are for consumers to use. Very intuitive, can be easily customized, offer lots of choices for consumers. So now we're bringing apps, the TV. About 3 years ago we started Samsung's Smart TV apps, and now you can get a whole range of apps on your television. We'll be announcing more in 2013 around multicultural content so that people can get access to whatever specific content they want through apps on their TV. And of course the cloud is important. It used to be that devices were quite separate from each other. Then we started to see devices being connected to each other. So you want to share content from your phone to your TV, for example. But now many, many devices are being connected to the cloud. Cameras, last year the Samsung Galaxy camera connected to wireless networks for immediate uploads and downloads. Home appliances being connected through Wi-Fi to the cloud, so you can have apps on your refrigerator, you can have access to recipes and calendar and things like that. And of course, phones, tablets, the Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1, which is a 10.1-inch tablet but with a S Pen, so you can do entering information through handwriting. Again, we're announcing at the show 4G connectivity on that. So connectivity, the cloud, the internet, very, very important for us.
And we've been talking with David Steele, Executive Vice President of Samsung here at CES International in Las Vegas. This is the Communicators on C-SPAN. The Communicators is on location in Las Vegas at CES International 2013, the technology trade show. More programming next week.